A close examination of the DeKalb County Police Chief's travel records shows repeated trips to Texas, pricey hotels, and one first-class ticket to a conference.
Now, this follows last night's I-Team revelations that Chief Terrell Bolton took 62 comp days during the past 2 years. Senior I-Team reporter Dale Russell has the latest. Dale?
Russ, Chief Bolton's family still lives in Dallas, Texas, but he says that has nothing to do with his decision to fly to Houston, Texas, 7 times in less than 2 years, all on the taxpayer's dime. DeKalb Police Chief Terrell Bolton is on the go, whether dedicating a park in honor of slain police officers,
and our work is not done. This is only the beginning.
Or handling political battles over staffing and funding.
In police work, every day means a life possibly saved.
He is high profile and he says hard-working. But some officers have asked us why the chief often travels to Texas.
You don't do those over the phone. Let me answer. Let me answer the question.
We told you how Chief Bolton took off 98 days, counting comp time, vacation, and holidays during the last 2 years. If you consider a 5-day work week, that means he took nearly 5 months off in his first 2 years. The chief says he earned the comp time and got it approved by the CEO's office. After looking at his comp time records, we decided to examine the chief's travel records, and we found that the former Dallas, Texas police chief took 7 taxpayer-funded trips in less than 2 years to Houston. 3 times Bolton flew to Houston to talk with this consultant, Lee P. Brown, to discuss the chief's reorganization plans. Bolton says he flew to Houston to avoid paying for consultants to travel to DeKalb County. But you can talk to consultants over the phone.
If you don't understand why we were going, we went down to try to get price reductions. And you don't do those over the phone.
When he meets with consultants, the chief likes to stay at pricey hotels, like this Marriott. His bills varied from as low as $174 to as high as $338. We asked the chief off camera, why didn't you stay in some place more modest? He told us, where do you expect the chief of police to stay? The pattern was nearly always the same. Fly out either Wednesday or Thursday night, stay one night in Houston, then using his own money, he says he would fly to Dallas, where his wife and children still live. Records show he would then fly back to Atlanta from Dallas.
All of those trips that we took to Houston have saved and benefited the DeKalb County Police Department.
One trip was made the day after 2 DeKalb police officers were murdered while working an off-duty job. January 17th, Chief Bolton announces the arrest of 2 men and said police were looking for more suspects.
And your time on the street is not long.
That afternoon, with suspects still at large, Bolton flew to Houston and then, according to his travel records, with his own money, on to Dallas. While he was in Texas, 2 more suspects were arrested. He also flew 3 times to meet with the Houston police chief to discuss training partnerships. On one trip, he booked a hotel room for 4 nights. He flew out on Thursday, and according to Houston police, met with their chief on Friday. He also rented a car. Receipts show he drove 814 miles, charging the taxpayers $272 for gas and the rental car. Where did he go?
One of the trips, I went to San Antonio to visit people. And every time I take a trip, I have approval to do whatever I want to do. I'm the police chief.
On another trip in 2007, Chief Bolton flew to Washington for a national police conference in which a DeKalb officer would be recognized in a memorial ceremony. Chief Bolton flew first class.
And they put me accidentally in first class.
You didn't notice?
Well, I noticed when I got on the plane.
And he wasn't alone. Another DeKalb police officer flew with him first class. Total taxpayers' ticket cost $1,457. Bolton says a county clerk booked the flights.
Those people, if you talk to them, they got the worst chewing out that they've ever gotten in their lives about that. And so I apologize for that, but it was not any doing on my own. I accept full responsibility for that.
Now, Chief Bolton urged me to talk with the woman who booked the first-class ticket I did. Verby Erskine, now retired and living in Florida, says, and I quote, "I would never book first class on my own. My understanding was the chief wanted first class, and I followed through." She went on to say that once the chief understood DeKalb County travel policies, he never flew first class again. Russ, Amanda?
All right, you mentioned that he traveled to Houston and to San Antonio in the state of Texas. Any indication he ever traveled to Dallas?
Yeah, actually he did. He had one trip that he said was an executive recruiting trip. He said he was going out to look for top executives that he could hire for the DeKalb County Police Department. It started in Houston. It ended on Dallas. It was a taxpayer-funded trip. We've asked him via email whether anybody was hired on that trip, and we haven't got an answer.
Any response to yesterday's report from the chief?
I've had a lot of from the chief. No response from the chief, but I had a lot of response from officers, and it's been pretty interesting how they view this whole thing. There's some pretty upset people out there right now.
Right. Maybe some follow-up coming, huh?
Dale, thanks.